England beaten 2-1 by France in the first game at the Euros. Serena Wiegmann's first ever defeat at a European Championships. It means their game against the Netherlands on Wednesday, which is live on talkSPORT, 5 p.m. kickoff, is probably a must-win if they're to stay in the competition. Delighted to say we're joined by a very good friend of Sunday Edition here, Faye White, former Lioness. Faye, good morning.
Good morning.
Morning,
Are you
Faye.
feeling a bit depressed this morning after that, Faye?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you always are when you see the Lionesses lose. Obviously, I think it was always going to be the toughest game in the group, personally, being the opener and then against France, who, you know, are always been our rivals. But yeah, there's just a few instances, I think, especially after that disallowed goal, that France just went into fifth and sixth gear and England couldn't react. And I think, yeah, it's obviously it's a bit disappointing, the physical battles, not winning them and being out-muscled, I think, in midfield a lot of the time as well. But there's, you know, it was always going to be a tough game, I think. And obviously with 3 or 4 players that aren't, I would say, probably that type of game ready fit, they probably could have done with an easier ease-in, the ones that have come back from injury. But it was always going to be a tough one. But are they capable of winning 2 games? Yes.
What I find fascinating now about the Lionesses is we're moving into men's football mode, in the sense that we've got so used to them winning that when it doesn't come off, they do actually get criticised, and quite heavily criticised. There have been plenty of people sticking the boot in for last night's performance, which may come as a bit of a shock to some of those players now.
Yeah, I think it would be their first taste of really having to deal with that kind of pressure and that kind of media scrutiny and expectation. That's another thing they're contending with, is that they're current champions. And so I remember when I played a current champion, you raise your game 10, 15%. So you're dealing with that even more because you want to be the one that beats them. And France, having never won it, obviously have that as well. Of course, it's going to be hard for the team, but they've just got to stay within their bubble, keep positive, be honest with what went wrong, and, you know, individually perform better and as a collective in the next game, because it's a must-win now.
Faye, you went to 5 tournaments, 4 as captain. If you were Lair Williamson, what would you be saying to the players?
Well, it's like I say, it's about staying positive and not glossing over the kind of weaknesses or the errors that happened, and the expectation is kind of just it really bringing it out more of the players. There's some that are more experienced with her as far as more caps, so they have to pull the lead as well. And just raise the standards, really. But it's still a bit about being positive. You can't, you know, have negative voices and people sulking, and you've got to put it to bed, take the few kind of critiques that you want out of the game to then say, right, we've got to be better. And if it's Serena having to make a call on changing maybe players or expecting a bit more from each of them, then, you know, so be it. You've got to take it on the chin and get on with it.
Is there a change to be made when Lauren James, or I assume you were referring to as one of the players who was sort of being eased back in after injury, and starting Ella Toone now?
I don't know. I think with James, I think she can be that, you know, create that moment of magic. And my only thing with her is especially against the French, who I thought dictated the midfield, and I think with Stanway probably not being fully fit at that kind of intensity, because she's only getting her minutes and coming back as well. She's had more certainly than James, but you know, she's played Jamaica in the game before and got 90 minutes. That's very different to playing a France or a Germany. And Walsh, I think, it gives you that playing ability on the ball, but sometimes it's not that mobile, as not that, you know, got that legs to cover the ground as much. So with James in there, she has to offer that as well off the ball. We know what she can do on it, but I mean, I look, everyone's comparing her to like Kelly Smith, the next game changer, the one that if you need someone to pull some out of the bag, she can do it, and she can. But Kelly Smith also, when she played in that role, would be on our penalty box making tackles and, you know, doing recovery runs as well. So it's that kind of mobility and work rate, I think, that's my just thing that she needs to learn or get better at. And if she's going to be that type of player that just dictates the whole game, like Kelly used to. So, you know, there could be that it's Clinton comes in for Stanway, just to give that strength for, if, you know, maybe would she start that, or would she maybe make that change a bit quicker in the next game? I mean, that's the thing. You say you've got a strong squad and you've got to use them.
I mean, Clinton looked good when she came on. Obviously, the French have made one or two significant changes by then. But in terms of further forward, Allesia Russo, who just is tireless the way she holds the ball up, takes a kicking, runs all day. How do England get better support to her?
Yeah, I think I agree. I thought if anyone that was coping with the physicality of the two centre halves, she was trying to do it. She was winning the free kicks or getting the ball, holding out, getting her body in the way. It's about being closer, isn't it? Getting links closer, that little bit more work rate. I think the biggest thing from yesterday was the sloppy passing and the fact that England put themselves into those problems a lot of the time. I thought the quality of possession and passing was not good enough for England. And so that has to improve, because if you're going to make that pass and she's going to make that run, and the forwards and Mead and Hemp are going to get in support of her, they need to know that they're not going to then be caught out having to recover. There's just too many sloppy errors, I think, and passing that we would expect, the likes of Leah, Williamson, Greenwood, even Walsh, her passing to make it and to make sure it hits that player that they're intending.
One player we haven't talked about, Faye, is Khloe Kelly. I'm fascinated by Khloe Kelly because she's obviously had probably the most high profile of the players, yet very rarely starts games. She's just obviously moved to Arsenal now. She just won the Champions League as well, which is remarkable, yet we never talk about her as a starter.
Yeah, I mean, I think she could be. I think she's on a par with Mead, certainly on that right side. I think Lauren Hemp, with her speed that she gives, because she is the one that has the sheer speed out of all of our players. So I think that's why she often gets the nod more. I think she's in a luxury position really to be able to have two or three players that can play in those positions. Even James can play out there as well. It's a bit unfortunate for Khloe. I think she obviously Serena just maybe prefers Mead, just maybe the strength on that kind of defensive side that she maybe brings. With Khloe Kelly, with her crossing ability, I think that's the one. If you need someone to get crosses in and whip it in from different various, like from the byline, from deep, change it all up, she is able to do that. So it is a very close call, and she is unfortunate sometimes to miss out.
Do you think any of the build-up to the tournament has had an effect on the squad? We had obviously the Mary Earp situation, for instance, which seemed to throw everybody out of sync. And then, of course, Millie Bright pulling out of the squad before they went, a very, very important player. Maybe put them slightly on the back foot mentally?
I think it was just that, I don't know if it puts you on the back foot, because I think people get injured and you lose players. Quite a lot. Sometimes when you have to adjust and it gives an opportunity to someone else. You think like Greenwood, have her passing range and her ability in the team. But yes, you miss the physicality, the height maybe of Millie Bright. But I think you just as players, you have to deal with it. It's probably more that constant being asked about it, because if you're in a bubble, you can just talk about it and move on. But when you're constantly asked about it, it just brings it up. I'm not sure too much. Really, I think the thing for me was just that kind of choice of that last game for England of playing Jamaica at home. Those are the things that I look at a little bit more, because you just think that you're gonna, you are expected to win them. It's great to get 7 goals, but is it really prepping you just for that? Especially when you know it's going to be France, that level, because it's just there's the level of playing a top nation in a friendly or a Nations League, but then it's a different level again when you play them in the first game of the champions in a major tournament. It's just that intensity, and it's about on that day you have to bring your A game, and unfortunately France did, and I think they were deservedly winners, but positives that England did continue to fight back. But disallowed goal, I mean, minute, wasn't it? I mean, I'm still looking on the VAR online on some of the clips, and I think where is it? I can't, but obviously it was. It's just the fine margins and the fact that you need all your players to be 100% and on it. And it wasn't quite clicking. But for France, they were clever. They physically settled us as well.
Faye, one area of the pitch we haven't really focused on is fullback, and Carter and Bronze had a difficult evening. Is that something that they're going to experience again against the Dutch, or were France particularly strong out there?
Yeah, France are always. I mean, Cascarino has been doing that for years. Normally, Kashawi can play on the left as well, but obviously Baltimore's been doing fantastic for Chelsea and just adds to their team. But yeah, I was, quite assured with Lucy, thinking, oh, she'll deal with her teammate. But I think she did lose out on that battle too many times. And again, that just happens some days. And in Carter, it's harder because she's not naturally left-sided player. But if anything, I think that Serena went with her because she is that bit more physical and stronger. But she often, when you're not always playing out there and used to it, you can lose your positioning or, just get tied up sometimes. And as far as pace, Cascarino, she's frightening in her footwork. So, I mean, it would have been a hard case for a left footer to deal with her as well. But it's just, again, I think it's just on the day, it didn't. I think we looked a little bit timid and scared in some situations and not enough belief. Which is quite, and hard to say for an England team. But sometimes I thought, oh, come on, we need someone to step up. And we just didn't really quite have that enough until a little too late, I suppose.
Okay, Faye, what does your head tell you about the Netherlands game on Wednesday? Not your heart, your head.
Yeah, well, my head tells me that now they will go, they've been got at, we can do it too. Mm-hmm. It will be a very different type of game because they are more technical players and in midfield as well. So we really have to win that battle. But yeah, my head is going to say it's going to be a tough one. But are England able and capable? Yes. But it's going to be close, I'm sure. But if we click and we know we can. And I'm not backing against the team not having that reaction because they've shown it in other games where they've really needed to dig deep in major tournaments. So, yeah, I mean, it's still possible. I'm not questioning that at all. But yeah, again, it's the Dutch and just that extra tie of obviously being Serena's nation just makes it that bit more tricky. Like with Wales as well, it would be normally an easy one, but because it's Wales, there is always that little question mark of that extra dynamic that changes mentalities, I think.
Faye White, former Lioness, thank you very much. Oh, Henry, I forgot to mention about Wales losing to the Netherlands. They got a bit of a stuffing, didn't they?
3-0.
3-0. Watched a fascinating documentary about them actually on BBC the other night about the rise of the Welsh team to finally qualify for a tournament, and unfortunately they got off to a rather difficult start.